In the heart of a sprawling, ancient forest, where sunlight dappled through emerald leaves and the air hummed with the symphony of nature, lived a young elephant named Alara. Alara was magnificent, with skin the color of twilight clouds, thick and wrinkled, and ears like grand, unfurled sails. Her eyes, though small, held a deep, gentle wisdom, and her trunk, a marvel of strength and dexterity, often swayed with an unspoken longing. Yet, despite her impressive presence, Alara was profoundly lonely. She watched the other forest creatures, small and nimble, flitting and scurrying, always in groups, always laughing. Her massive size, which made her so formidable, also seemed to be an invisible barrier, separating her from the joyful camaraderie she yearned for. Every morning, as the first rays of dawn painted the sky, Alara would lumber towards the watering hole, her heavy footsteps echoing through the quiet woods. She'd see the playful monkeys, their slender, agile bodies swinging effortlessly from branch to branch, their brown fur gleaming. One day, gathering all her courage, Alara approached a particularly boisterous monkey who was performing acrobatic feats high above. "Excuse me, dear friend," Alara rumbled, her voice soft despite its depth. "May I join your games? Perhaps we could play together?" The monkey, startled, paused its swing, its pink face crinkling with a mixture of surprise and a hint of disdain. "You?" it chattered, pointing a nimble finger. "You are far too big, Alara. You would snap every branch. And how would you ever swing like us? Our games are for the light and quick, not for, well, for giants like you." A wave of disappointment washed over Alara, heavy as her own frame. She simply nodded, her large ears drooping slightly, and continued on her solitary way, the monkey's laughter echoing behind her. Later, near a patch of sweet clover, Alara spotted a fluffy rabbit, its soft, light brown fur blending perfectly with the dry leaves. The rabbit, with its twitching nose and long, alert ears, was nibbling delicately. Alara knelt as best she could, trying to appear less imposing. "Hello, little one," she whispered, her trunk gently nudging a fallen leaf. "You seem to enjoy your burrow. It looks so cozy. Might I visit sometime? Or perhaps we could share a meal?" The rabbit, initially frozen in fear, darted back towards its tiny, hidden burrow. From the safety of its entrance, it squeaked, "Oh, Alara, you are far too big. My burrow is barely big enough for me, let alone your enormous foot, and you'd crush all the clover before I could even take a bite." The rabbit's words, though not unkind, were a stark reminder of her difference. Alara sighed, a sound like a soft breeze rustling through the trees, and felt an ache in her chest. It seemed her very existence was an inconvenience to the smaller creatures. Her journey led her to a tranquil pond, where vibrant green lily pads floated like emerald jewels. There, a sleek, bright green frog, with large golden eyes, was croaking merrily, occasionally leaping from one pad to another with surprising grace. Alara watched for a long time, admiring its effortless jumps. "What a magnificent leap you have," she praised, her voice a low murmur that barely disturbed the water. "I wish I could jump like that. Could you teach me?" The frog, momentarily puffed up with pride, then looked at Alara's colossal form. "Jump?" it ribbited, a note of amusement in its voice. "My dear Alara, you are far too heavy. The lily pads would sink, and the whole pond would splash out. My jumps are for the light and nimble, for those who can dance on water, not for, well, for those who make the ground tremble." Alara felt a familiar pang of sadness. Even the simple joy of jumping was denied to her because of her size. She dipped her trunk into the cool water, a solitary gesture of comfort. As the sun began its descent, casting long, purple shadows, Alara encountered a cunning fox, its reddish-orange fur a fiery streak against the deepening gloom. The fox, with its bright yellow eyes and pointed snout, was meticulously grooming its bushy tail near its den. Alara, feeling a last flicker of hope, approached cautiously. "Good evening, clever fox," she began, trying to sound cheerful. "You always seem to know the best paths and the hidden berries. Perhaps we could explore together, or share stories by the moonlight." The fox, after a moment of appraisal, gave a dismissive flick of its tail. "Alara," it drawled, its voice smooth but edged with indifference, "you are simply too big to be my friend. My adventures require stealth and speed, slipping through narrow thickets and hiding in small crevices. You would crash through everything, alerting every creature for miles. We simply don't fit, you and I." This final rejection, delivered with such casual finality, extinguished the last spark of hope in Alara's heart. She turned away, her head bowed, feeling more alone than she ever had before. The vast forest, once a place of wonder, now felt like an endless, empty space. The next morning, an unusual silence hung over the forest. The usual chirping of birds was muted. The rustling of leaves seemed hesitant. Suddenly, a panicked commotion erupted. Small animals, their eyes wide with terror, scurried past Alara in a desperate rush. A plump, dark brown bear, usually so stoic, lumbered by, its powerful limbs moving with uncharacteristic haste. "What is wrong?" Alara rumbled, stopping the frightened bear with a gentle but firm nudge of her trunk. The bear, panting, explained, "It's the tiger, Alara, a ferocious, striped menace. He's descended from the mountains, and he's attacking all the small animals, hunting them down one by one. He's too fast, too strong for us little ones." Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through Alara's loneliness. These were the very animals who had shunned her, who had made her feel like an outcast. Yet, they were her forest family, and they were in grave danger. A fierce determination, stronger than any sadness she had ever known, ignited within Alara. Her large, gentle eyes hardened with resolve. She would not stand by while her forest friends, no matter how small or how dismissive, were threatened. She followed the trail of fear, her massive body now a symbol of courage rather than an impediment. Soon, she came upon a clearing where the air crackled with tension. There, a magnificent but terrifying Bengal tiger, its vibrant orange fur striped with bold black, stalked a trembling rabbit, the same one who had feared her burrow. The tiger's amber eyes gleamed with predatory hunger, its powerful limbs tensed for the kill. "Stop!" Alara's voice boomed, a sound that shook the very ground. The tiger, surprised, turned its head, its broad face contorted in a snarl. "What is this?" it hissed, its voice low and menacing. "A giant interfering with my hunt? Begone, clumsy beast, before you become my next meal." Alara stood her ground, her pillar like legs planted firmly. "These are my friends, and you will not harm them," she declared, a newfound strength in her voice. The tiger, arrogant and accustomed to unchallenged dominance, lunged, but Alara was ready. With a swift, powerful swing of her mighty trunk, she caught the tiger mid-air, sending it sprawling with a force that echoed through the trees. The tiger, stunned and bruised, scrambled to its feet, its predatory confidence shattered. It let out a frustrated roar, but seeing Alara's firm resolve and power, it fled back into the mountains and disappeared into the dense foliage. A hush fell over the clearing, quickly followed by a wave of relief. The small animals who had been hiding in terror slowly emerged, their fear replaced by awe. The monkey, the rabbit, the frog, and even the cunning fox all looked at Alara with new eyes. "Alara!" chirped the monkey, swinging down from a low branch, its usual playful demeanor replaced by genuine admiration. "You saved us. You were so brave." The rabbit, no longer afraid, hopped closer, its nose twitching. "We were so wrong about you, Alara," it whispered. "Your size isn't a burden. It's your strength, your courage." The frog croaked in agreement, and the fox, usually so aloof, bowed its head slightly. "Indeed, Alara," the fox admitted. "True friendship has nothing to do with size or how one fits into a burrow or swings from a tree. It's about kindness, courage, and protecting those you care about." Alara looked at her friends, her small eyes now shining not with loneliness, but with the warmth of acceptance and belonging. Her heart, once heavy with solitude, now swelled with joy. She realized that her size, which she had once seen as a curse, was in fact a gift, a unique part of who she was, and it had allowed her to protect those she loved. From that day forward, Alara was no longer the lonely giant. She was the beloved protector, the gentle giant whose booming laughter now mingled with the chirps, squeaks, and croaks of her many friends. The forest transformed from quiet to lively, filled with adventures and true friendship, proving kindness and courage matter more than size or looks. And Alara, the magnificent elephant, finally understood that she was just the right size to be everyone's dear friend.